Hello, good morning everyone, and thank you Angi for the introduction. Uh, so the presentation, what we want to make today is a quick 5 minutes one. I won't take more time. It's continuation of what Ashwati has spoken earlier and what Manjula ma'am spoke previously. Since most cities are going into the stage of permanent interventions, we have been doing tactical or temporary interventions over the past 2 years, but it's time now to go towards the permanent one. And what we want to discuss in this presentation is the importance of getting it right and what can happen if we don't get the designs right. So over the period of 2 years, through the Cycles for Change and Streets of People challenge, almost 100 plus 120 TUs were conducted all across the country. More than 20 cities have empaneled or hired urban designers to get the street work done. More than 1,000 kilometers of streets have been identified for permanent interventions all across the city. So the point is that it's a great time to intervene. It offers a great opportunity for us to create that change, what Ashwati and everyone has been talking about in the presentation so far. But it is also important to get the designs right. What happens if we don't get the design right is what we want to emphasize on today. Currently, this is how our cities look like. I think almost every one of us can relate to this picture. And what we are, over the years, we have learned to envision the cities as good public spaces. Streets which offer good walking, cycling infrastructures, places where people can sit, relax, and connect to each other. And this is what our envision is. And I think everyone agrees to that. There is no counter argument to that. But again, the same question, what if we don't get this design right? I just want to take you through a few images, and I also want you to observe a few commonalities in all the images. This is just a series of images again. This is a poor design again. I think we are reiterating the same point again and again. We don't want to do the same mistakes, but this is a footpath again, and which is clearly not walkable. This is a result of a poor design. Again, some images are from all the cities. In fact, all the images are from the cities which are under this roof currently. This is again an example of poor detailing, where you see we have such infrastructure where we are providing infrastructure, but again, there is nowhere for pedestrians to cross or have a pedestrian refuge. There is no understanding of context, there is no detailing or that contextualization of the design that we talk about. Again, the neighboring land use or building use is not taken into consideration, and automatically they have spillover on the footpath, rendering them useless. There is no environmental awareness also. In lot of times during the creation of footpaths, the trees are being cut. Also the stormwater drain, the utilities are not taken care into. And streets also offer great opportunity for water regeneration, water percolation, which is not taken into consideration, which only creates more problems going ahead. There is poor material selection. There is little know-how about which materials to be selected at which location. So that is also there is also need for capacity development in that aspect. There is lack of sensitivity towards pedestrians. Many cities do suggest go for at-grade footpaths, that is footpaths at the carriageway level. Again, this is a very car-oriented move and not a great move for pedestrians. Some of the reasons of that could be lack of ROW or budget constraints, but these are not great practices if we are talking about pedestrians and cyclist safety. Again, there is a most important point. We can have fantastic designs, but unless they're executed properly on ground, we'll end up with footpaths which are not usable by the people again. There is lack of stakeholder consultations because sometimes we go ahead with our design implementation, but utility agencies, traffic police are not taken into consideration during the decision making. And then we have streets like this where there is a DP box or a transformer in front of the footpath, again, rendering the entire footpath useless. We need to avoid these type of situations. Again, we have been saying that we want big footpaths, wide cycle tracks and all, but that is just doing that is also not enough. We need to also assess the impact of what exactly we are doing, where we are heading towards. In the photo, you can see there is a wide footpath, almost 3 to 4 meters wide, but there is poor lighting and other aspects, again, don't encourage people to walk on it. So that is also not a desired scenario what we want. There is lack of enforcement again because we do footpaths, but parking, encroachments again happen. So that also is one of the reasons our footpaths are not usable. And this is a very common scenario in every city. There is inaccessible infrastructure. Just creating infrastructure alone is not enough. We want it to be people sensitive. So we have to take care of all the user groups from 8 to 80 years of age, so that it can be utilized the way it is, the way it should be by everyone. Again, if you have observed closely, you will find one common thing in all the photos. All the photos had footpaths, be it wide or small, but in all the photos, people were walking on the motor vehicle lane. And that might happen again, even after we have this fantastic conference, and if we continue doing the same mistakes. And that is what we don't want. We want good footpaths, and we want basically simple solutions which people can use. So, and that is what we are calling healthy streets. So I won't go into the details of this image again, but these are the 10 pillars of healthy streets, what we want. And we can see them through images, I think, going ahead. What we want is useful, meaningful streets, which can be utilized by everyone of all age groups and during all times of the day. So again, healthy street is basically a street which gives fair allocation of space to all users, be it walking, cycling, public transport, or even motor vehicle users. It is a street where walking is enjoyable. It's not a mere mode of navigation, but it's also fun to walk. Where cycling is convenient, and it encourages people to make short trips on cycling. Healthy street is a street where it's not just about fancy big streets like examples we have been seeing again and again. It's also about the small internal streets, the neighborhood level streets, which don't need to have fancy infrastructure. It could be small safety elements that we can add and make them safer for children and everyone. Again, safety street, it's a street which offers safety to all types of users. It includes signages, bollards, we have good lighting, we have safe pedestrian refuges, and these all elements add to the safety and encourage people to walk more. And most importantly, it's not about just navigating like we mentioned, it's about creating livable streets, creating quality of life where people can eat, sleep, socialize, relax, connect to each other, and that is what is the great opportunity that we have. And most of these discussions, again, go towards motor vehicle use also. We want streets which have well-managed parking, which have streamlined vehicular movement, that will also help us make our streets better. And again, finally, I think this has been in discussion a lot. Healthy street is a street which has well-organized utilities. Now, all streets might not need to go for entire refurbishment of all the utilities. We can take a call on which utilities need to be changed on what roads, and I think we have better people. Next presentation lined up by Mr. Vikas Thakur, who will take us in detail about these presentations. So that is, I think we have been hearing about this all over the 2 years. So how do we actually create these healthy streets? We are not going to talk about the bigger level things, larger goals of policy and planning at this stage. Let us focus on the smaller thing. What exactly we need to do when we go back to our city, and before our next workshop, if we try to get these things done, it would be good. And those are, there are ways to do that. So one is we can take up new streets. Streets which don't have any infrastructure at all, especially tier 3 or tier 2 cities. There are a lot of roads like that. We can take up those streets and develop them. Or we have streets which have some decent infrastructure or infrastructure in a bad condition. We can redevelop those ones. We don't need to go for entire ROW redesigning. We can just redesign the NMT part of it. And the third way is, it's not an or, it's an and, that we need to intervene on smaller streets. The streets which don't have proper pedestrian crossings or safety, we can intervene by adding bollards, adding pedestrian refuges, adding tabletop, and these are small zebra crossings and all. These are small interventions that we need to do apart from whatever we do with the big streets. So how do we do that? First is identify quick win projects. I know we would be identifying a network of streets going ahead, but for now, let's identify a few projects, a few 2-3 kilometers of streets at least, and start working on them. We need to have budget for them for over the period of 1 month, and that budget includes hiring contractor, hiring good urban designers, and the infrastructure that goes into it. We need to hire or empanel urban designers. Now, this is the most important steps that previously presentations have also been highlighting upon. Only good urban designers will give you good results. So, and you need to pay for that in some way. So it is very important that we have urban designers, and it is also important to have a mix of urban designers. We have some local representatives and also national level experts, so that the local also build their capacity, and we get expertise from the national level urban designers as well. We need to build a competent team again. We need to have good contractors, good project management consultancy, good quality control, and good engineers to guide this project. It is very important, again, to get all stakeholders on board. It's not just the road department which needs to be on board. We want all utility agencies, the traffic police to be on board since the day one, so that there are no problems going ahead later. We have to build capacity. I think this is a great example of building capacity. We need to attend more workshops, attend more site visits, do more site visits to understand what is happening in other parts of the country. And finally, I think just set a target and begin implementation. I think 1 year target is good enough to understand, to get few kilometers of road done. That would be a big win, and we can start small. And it's not a very heavy lift. There are cities already doing that. Cities have already started transforming their tactical urbanisms that they did in the challenges towards a permanent intervention. So it is doable, and we would like to see these permanent interventions by the end of next workshop that we meet. Thank you. That would be it.